Hello, hello. Welcome to the Sideline Speaks with myself, Brittany Jones, alongside Jason Collins and Kevin Walker, right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Media Network. What's going on, K Walk and Jay?
All is well. All is well. Looking forward to a great one.
Yeah, everything's good. Excited. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about, so it should be fun tonight.
How was everybody's Thanksgiving?
It was good. Mine was good. We're very relaxing. Food, fun, and football, Jay. That's all
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah. Same, man. Same. It was cool. Pretty laid back. Pretty chill. Had some
Yeah.
family come over. But yeah, it was good. We had a good time.
K Walk, you forgot family, but I got what you were
No, I
saying.
said food, fun, and family, didn't I? Oh, if I know you're right. It is family. Yeah, you're right. Family. Yeah.
It's all good. We
Little
understood you
four
though.
F's. Four
I'm
F's.
just,
Four F's. My bad.
I gotta call you out.
Yeah, appreciate you doing that too.
Guys, I had a good time for Thanksgiving,
Good.
but Jay's killing me over here. He just so badly want to talk about this Ohio State Michigan game, knowing I'm just going to sink right into it. But that's later, guys. I'm just thinking ahead of time. I know that's later, but he's trying to hurt my feelings right now. But you guys ready to talk some sports?
Let's
We
do it. Let's
do.
do it.
We are. Let's do it.
Let's get it. Let's get it. All right, guys. So it was recently announced that we haven't seen since last season, actually before last season, almost 2 years, that Mr. DeShawn Watson, quarterback DeShawn Watson of the Cleveland Browns, will be reinstated after, I believe, an 11-game suspension. He was reinstated, I believe, either yesterday or earlier
Monday.
today or
Hmm.
Monday. So
Hmm.
yesterday. So he is eligible to be with the team. I know he was already practicing with the team. He's eligible to play this weekend against the Houston Texans. What a coincidence. NFL is a funny one. But what are your thoughts on this Deshaun Watson returning for the Houston Texans game? K Walk, I'm gonna start with you on this one.
I'm excited about it because I'm a Deshaun Watson guy, despite everything that he's going through. That's a topic for another day. But I'm excited to see him come back. The Browns are somewhat in the hunt, so he's not coming back to play meaningless football, if you will. Kind of feel bad for Jacoby Brissett as well. His last game on Sunday looked like he was like retiring the way they sent him off. I just felt bad for the brother because he did do a decent job.
Yeah.
He kept them in the hunt. He kept them above water, if you will. So
Mhm.
now we're going to see Deshaun Watson, do his thing. We're not going to see the same Deshaun Watson that we've seen 2 years ago. He's going to be
Mhm.
rusty, no matter how good he is, no matter how much talent he has. He's going to be rusty, and that's going to be that's a given. That's a given. But whether he can, he can just keep them in the game. They're playing the Houston Texans, so it's a good game to get it back. Not just because it's his former team, but they're not, playing really good ball right now. I'm surprised the NFL didn't flex this game for Sunday night, but yeah, but that's how bad the Texans are. They couldn't do that, but looking forward to what Deshaun can do. He's got some good weapons with Chubb, and he's got Amari Cooper as well. So I'm very excited to see what he's going to look like the first game back.
Jay, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, to K Walk's point, it's a good game to come back to,
Hmm.
obviously his former team, but for the fact that they're not very good. Um, Look, I don't know. I don't expect Deshaun Watson to come out and set the world on fire or
Yeah.
anything like
Mhm.
that. I think there's going to be a lot of rust that he has to work off. He's going to have to get used to the speed of the game again.
Again.
You just can't go away for almost two full seasons of not playing a
Mhm.
lot of football and expect to just come back where you left off. So on one hand, K Walk says the Browns are still fighting for a position. I feel like if they were really trying to win a bunch of football games right now, maybe Jacoby Brissett might be the better option if you're trying to
Hmm.
win. I think there's going to be some rust that has to work off over the next few weeks with Deshaun. I don't expect him to look great, so
Mhm.
it might not lead to a lot of wins for Cleveland. But obviously, against Houston, he's going to play against his former team. It's going to be a lot of fun. I wouldn't even be surprised if he played well against Houston and then kind of fell off in the coming weeks. But look, I'm happy he's back. He served his suspension. He did his time.
Mhm.
Let him get back out on the football field because obviously he's a very exciting player. And when he's at his best, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, I think he will be rusty as well. if we can recall back in was early mid 2000s, I can't, 2010, something like that, when Michael Vick came back after about two
Yeah.
seasons. He was rusty and for a few games until he started to get things really going. Actually, I don't. He didn't really play until that very next season, where he really got the his full opportunity to really play and start, and then he was able to turn it around. So I think once he gets the swing of things, we will see the old Deshaun Watson. To me, it is a coincidence. It's kind of coincidence that the NFL had him come back during this specific time, going against his former team. So I will think he does have a vendetta, and I believe his team will surround him. Whether they agree or disagree with what he did, he's still a teammate of theirs. And so we don't always like what our family does. We don't always agree with their decisions that they make. But at the end of the day, your family, so you fight for your family, and that's what that locker room, or at least you hope that's what that locker room will do. They'll surround him with I can't say the word, camaraderie and love, and fight for their brother. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But my question with you guys is, can he really make a huge difference? Does he make a huge difference in this game? Being that K-Walk, you stated that they're fighting for a playoff position. They're 4-7. They're still technically in the hunt right now. I think right now they're 13th in the league as far as passing. 200 with averaging about 263 yards. Would he make a huge difference with this offense? Jay, I'm gonna come to you.
A huge difference? I don't really think so. At least not right out of the gate. Like we all kind of said, I think there's going to be a lot of rust that has to work off the speed of the game. There's going to be an adjustment period. Now, he does have good running backs, and they have a good running game. So if they can get the running game going, and then he has some easy windows to throw into, I certainly think he'll be able to do that. Plus, he wants to play well against Houston. I mean, he would love nothing more than to go light them up. So obviously there's some extra incentive there, but that works both ways too. I mean, Houston is probably chomping at the bit to get their hands on him as well. So it's going to be really interesting, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see anything fantastic out of DeShawn. I don't think he's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this year. I think next year he will.
Yeah, for sure.
Like we said, he's rusty. Well, I know he's been practicing for a while. I'm pretty sure he kept himself into shape, but he hasn't been playing. As we all know, football shape is different. Playing shape is different than just practicing. But K-Walk, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have to agree with Jay. I don't think it's going to be a huge difference. The only difference we'll probably see is just the running aspect of Deshaun Watson as opposed to Jacoby Brissett. I mean, I think that's the only thing that you're going to get in the first few games, because I think Jacoby Brissett did a great job of throwing the ball. I think Deshaun Watson is going to be similar to that because he is rusty. And like we all mentioned, because of the speed of the game as well, he's going to have to get used to that again. But I just think him running the ball, his legs are probably going to be the only difference that you're going to see the Jacoby to start off with. But no huge difference. Only difference I'm seeing is his ability to extend the play. That'll be about it.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one, because if it comes on TV, for sure I'm watching it, because I want to see if the crowd's going to boo, if they're going to show him love. This is going to be interesting as far as a public opinion standpoint.
Yeah.
How does the fans feel about him? What is the public opinion of Deshaun Watson right now? And that may even impact how he plays, potentially. We'll see. Because it's one thing to not play for a while and be rusty, but it's another thing to have the pressure of the public opinion on top of how you playing. So it's going to be interesting. But all right, guys, we're going to fast forward to Thursday, because it's funny how we come on every Tuesday, but we rarely talk about Thursday night football except for outside of last week. Because we usually always recapping games. But you know what? I'm going to change things up. We're going to talk about this upcoming Thursday night football game, which is between the Buffalo Bills, the 8-3 Buffalo Bills, at the 6-5 New England Patriots. Interesting. So, which is at 8:15 p.m. That's I think Eastern time. And unfortunately, for those who are not local, they only airing it on Prime Video or NFL Network. So make sure you get yourself Prime Video, Amazon Prime. But who do you have winning this game? What are your thoughts on this game? But most importantly, what is your prediction? K-Walk, I'm gonna come to you first.
Yeah, I mean, I like this game. I think I have to go with the Bills here. I think the Bills kind of get back on track. I think they lost themselves, lost who they were a few weeks ago. They got back last week with that win. The Patriots, the Patriots are not an easy out. They're not playing great ball. They're still right there in the hunt as well as a lot of teams are, but they're a little closer to the playoffs. And I just don't know what you're going to get with Mac Jones and that offense. But I think the Bills get back on track to see how well the Miami Dolphins are playing. They're in the lead in the AFC East, excuse me, and almost on the top of the AFC the conference as well. So I like the Bills here. I like Josh Allen to get back to spreading the ball around, not just taking it upon himself to try to win the game. So I like the Bills here, 24-10.
Jay, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with K Walk here. I know the Patriots are. I agree with K Walk. They're a tough out, right? They're not going to be an easy out. Belichick will have those guys ready to play, but I just think it's a talent deficiency. Their roster is not as good as Buffalo's. And to K Walk's point, I do feel like Buffalo has gotten away from themselves a little bit. They need to get back to how they were playing in those early weeks of the season. I would love to see Josh Allen just play a little bit smarter. I still think he's taken too many hits when he leaves the pocket and when he runs the football. I think he's got to protect himself a little bit more because obviously without him, the Buffalo Bills aren't going to go very far. But I agree with K-Walk. I like the Bills to get back on track, really have a dominating performance because there's always a little bit of bad blood and rivalry between these two teams as well. So I like Buffalo probably 31-17, somewhere in that range.
Wow, that's a
Yeah,
nice.
the top four just came out, guys. Top four just came out for the playoffs. I'm looking over here. Georgia's 1, Michigan's 2, USC is 3, CCU is 4, Ohio State's 5, and Alabama is 6.
Okay, nice.
Wait, how we?
See,
Dang.
that's the big one. Everybody was wondering if they were going to put Bama ahead of Ohio State. And the fact that Ohio State is sitting at 5, they still have a good shot to get in there.
What is USC's record?
They're 11-1. They got one loss.
Yeah, 11-1. Yes.
Well, I guess if you lose to Michigan, you would be behind USC, but we'll talk about that later, I guess. But I have some issues with that one, but we'll talk about that later. But no, I think I agree with you guys. I think the Bills, it's just like you guys said, this is going to be a tough out. The Patriots are actually pretty decent defensively. I think they're only allowing like 202 points per game, which is 6th in the league. So, which is telling you they have a pretty decent defense. The offensive side is questionable. Mac Jones is not playing like he was last year, where he was just playing lights out. They have wide receiver Nelson Aguilar. I don't know if you guys know. I'm a Philly fan. You should already know how we feel about Nelson Aguilar. But I will say I have to give him props in the Super Bowl. He played well in the Super Bowl. But after that, he couldn't catch anything for us. And they had Devontae Parker, which is kind of shocking to me because when Devontae Parker was with Miami, I feel like he was actually a very good receiver. But now he's with the Patriots. You really don't hear anything about him. Maybe it's just the scheme. Maybe it's the organization. I'm not sure. Maybe he just needs time. Maybe longer than a year, I guess. If he signed for longer than a year, I'm not exactly sure. So I'm really surprised that doesn't seem like it's working out too much. But like you guys said, Bill Belichick will have these guys ready to go. I just think the Bills, like Jay said, it's just too much stardom. There's too much strength on that team. Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. But if Josh Allen can do what he did earlier in the season, I don't think the Patriots have a chance, regardless of how good that Patriots defense is. But like you said, Jay, he has to protect himself more and not take as many risks down the field. He's been turning the ball over, to me, at a high clip, which is not normally like him, but it's been like that for the last 4 or 5 games. So I think they'll win this game for sure. I think it's going to be a little bit closer. I'm going to say 27-21. Jay got a little of a blowout over there. Because, the Patriots, they although they may not be as talented, they play with pride. So they don't like to get blown out. That's the one thing I can say about that team. So we all agree the Bills is going to win this game. All right, guys. I have no idea what's going on, in Denver. Don't have a clue.
Man.
But there seems to be frustration in Denver. The Broncos are now 3-8 after losing 10-23 to the Carolina Panthers, who are 4-8. During the game, you can see Broncos nose tackle Mike Purcell jump in quarterback Russell Wilson's face due to frustration. I mean, I had to give him credit when playing lights out. Mike Purcell playing lights out.
I got you.
Yeah. Wilson finished the game 19 of 35 for 142 yards. He's averaging only 4.1 per pass, 1 touchdown, 1 fumble loss. What the heck is wrong in Denver? And can this be fixed? Can it be fixed, guys? Jay, I'm gonna come to you first.
Man, that's a loaded question, Britt. So there's a couple things. Number one, I think the expectations, right? Coming into the season, a lot of people had this team, including myself, penciled in that like they were going to make a deep playoff run. Russell Wilson was all they needed, a quarterback away, all that kind of stuff. So I think the expectations, number one, and then obviously not meeting those is a big issue. Number two, Russell Wilson. I don't know what's wrong with him. Like he doesn't look like the same guy. I mean, he just looks out of sync. He just can't get it going. I don't know if he's hurt or if he just fell off a cliff. I don't know what's wrong with Russell Wilson. And then I think the third thing that really irks people, like when you're winning, you can get on the mic and use all those one-liners and cliches and go Hawks and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But when you're losing, and it's almost like you can't read the room and you keep throwing out these one-liners and I'm just working hard every day and all these little annoying sayings that make you look fake or make you look irritating or make you look disingenuous. I just think that rubs people the wrong way. When you're winning, people are willing to overlook it. When you're losing, you almost look like you're making a fool of yourself. And that's kind of the irritation I think that a lot of these guys are starting to get with Russell Wilson. He's not playing well. The team is losing, but he just continues on. And maybe that's how he really is, but it doesn't feel authentic. And I think that's rubbing people the wrong way.
Yeah, I don't know because I love Russell Wilson.
I like him too. Yeah,
I don't know what happened between the off season and the beginning of the season. I know he was hurt last year. He didn't play a whole lot, I think, due to that thumb injury he had. But it seemed like in the off season he was throwing right. His accuracy was on point. But it's like he's not clicking in this locker room. I really think it's from a leadership standpoint. He's just not clicking with these guys. And it's going to be interesting how this goes forward because they pay Russell Wilson a lot of money.
Yeah.
This is not some contract you could just jump out of.
Nope.
We paid him a lot of money. And my understanding, he even have his own office. That might be a rumor, guys. But I'm just saying, that's what I heard in the in the building.
If he does, that's part of the problem.
Yeah, that is part of the problem. But I can't put my finger on it because even when I watch the game, he's not that same Russell Wilson magic that we're used to seeing. He doesn't run as much or scramble. I don't want to say run. Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, they run, but he doesn't scramble as much outside the pocket to try to find the open receiver, give his guys more time. His accuracy hasn't been on point. He's not on the same wave with his receivers. It's just something's not clicking. They already don't have the greatest offensive line. But the funny part is their defense plays very well. The offense is completely opposite of the defense. I think the defense is third in the league of points allowed, but the offense is dead last with only scoring at least about 14.6 a game, I believe it was. So I have no idea, and I don't even know where to start to fix it. But I guess in my mind, unfortunately, the head coach has to go because he does make certain decisions on the, play calls that you're just sitting back like, that made no sense. And it has happened time and time again. And I know Russell Wilson has been in the league long enough to try to override the head coach, but maybe Russell Wilson's in a position saying, I'm a little new. I don't want to override the head coach just yet. But dude, something has to come on. Sierra, get Get your guy in shape here. Get your guy in shape here. All right. Okay. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, we'll get a little bit more inside report on this next week when we get Brandon Cristal, who's a beat writer from the Denver Broncos. He'll give us some more insight. But from what I'm seeing and from what I'm hearing, is that Russell Wilson doesn't want to wear that wristband. There's a wristband that he's refusing to wear. He didn't wear it in Seattle at the latter part of his stint there, and he's not wearing it now. He just refuses to do that. And Pete Carroll had alluded to it and kind of mentioned it when Geno Smith was on his little hot streak there. He's saying, we have a guy that wants to wear the wristband. So, he said we have a guy that's listening to the coaching staff and is doing what we're asking him to do. It was praising Geno Smith, but at the same time, it was taking a shot at Russell Wilson as well, because he's doing the same thing in Denver. So basically, he's just out there playing backyard ball, in a sense, that schoolyard ball. Listen, you go down, make a right at the Cadillac, whatever the case may be, and I'll hit you. That's the type of ball it looks like Russell Wilson is playing, just drawing up stuff in the sand, if you will. And you mentioned it, Brett. They have a really good defense, and the defense is frustrated. We saw the defensive end get in his face. Like, listen, we're tired of carrying this team. They're in each and every game that they play in. Each and every game they're just one possession away from winning the game. But for whatever reason, Russell Wilson is just. We saw it in the beginning of the season. He's just not on the same page. It doesn't help that Jerry Jeudy's also and he's been injured for the majority of the season as well. Their number one receiver, and he just doesn't have any chemistry with Sutton. Zero chemistry with him. They just let go Melvin Gordon as well. He has some fumble issues there, so that doesn't help as well. But it all, from what I'm hearing on the outside, is that Russell Wilson is doing Russell Wilson type deal. He did his own thing. He's doing a Russell Wilson thing, and it's not taking too much to the liking of his teammates. Someone had to show him up, and I'm glad he did that. And Russell stood there like, I know. He's trying to play it off like, oh yeah, I hear you, but he's not listening to this guy. But so it's frustrating. It does trickle down, and eventually it's going to be frustrating. It's obviously frustrating for the defense, but it's going to be more frustrating with the offense right now, because it's kind of in the same boat with Aaron Rodgers, where he's just not on the same page with his receivers, and that's what it comes down to.
Now, this is going to be interesting because we never really seen Russell Wilson as an ego type of guy, but could his ego be getting in the way here? And that's, he got this big paycheck. I think Seahawks, they was kind of falling out. The team wasn't, well, it was mainly because the team wasn't that great. I know you had Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, but they lost a lot of players due to age. But Russell Wilson, you never really had ego in the same sentence as him, but it seems like we're starting to head in that direction. I hope that's not the case, because like I said, I've always been a huge fan of Russell Wilson and how he carried himself and the things that he did within the community. What his former teammates said about him within the organizations when he was in Seattle. But it's going to be interesting. So I guess we'll find out more next week, guys. So make sure you guys tune in next week.
Yeah, for sure.
Make sure you tune in. Click that subscribe button too, by the way. But all right, guys. Now we're going to move on to our next topic here. Because it's been quarterbacks, players playing lights out all throughout the NFL season. All across the league. So I need to know right now, and this may change by the end of the season, but who is your top 4 quarterback MVPs? Not just regular MVPs, any MVPs. So I don't want to hear no receivers. I don't want to hear no linebackers, pass rushers, and Michael Parsons. None of that. Quarterback MVPs. Who's your top 4? Okay, Jay, I'm coming to you first.
Okay, all right, coming to me first. I got Josh Allen at 4. I felt like he came out of the gate, hot. He's cooled off a little bit since then. He's battling some nagging injuries and things like that, but I still think he's a long shot. So I got him at number 4. Britt, I wore a little bit of Eagles green for you tonight, just to try to get back on your good side. So
I don't trust you anymore.
So I got your guy, Jalen Hurts at number 3. Look, he's been playing outstanding. I got to give Jalen Hurts a lot of credit what he did the other night against Green Bay. I mean, he just looked phenomenal. So I got him at number 3. I got Patrick Mahomes at number 2. He's been phenomenal, K-Walk. I see you giving me the side eye. He's been great. We talked last week. He's probably the best player in the NFL. But right now, I got Tua at number 1. And let me read this to you guys. This is the reason I got Tua at number 1. Louis Riddick tweeted this the other day. Tua is leading the league in total QBR, QBR versus man, QBR versus zone, QBR under pressure, QBR in the pocket, QBR outside the pocket, QBR in the red zone, QBR in the fourth quarter, and QBR on third down. He's leading the league in every single one of those categories. I think you got to give Tua his due. So he's my number 1 guy right now.
The impact of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
No
that
doubt.
speed
No
is
doubt.
dangerous.
And Mike
That's
Daniels.
an explosive offense. Yes, I'll give Mike Daniels some credit as well. But K-Walk, who's your top 4?
Yeah, I got the same top 4, Jay. The reason why I gave you this side because you put him at. I didn't know who you were going to go with at 1 after.
Okay.
I didn't know he was going to go with 2. But I have the same 4 just in a different order. So number 4, I also went with Josh Allen for everything that Jay mentioned. Is that he started off hot, kind of cooled off there. Again, I think he's going to get back to doing what he did in the beginning of the season. So Josh Allen 4. 3, I put Tua at 3, Jay. I mean, there was a number. I did put Tua at 3. I just think that he's right now he's doing great. Those numbers are great, Jay. Those numbers you just
I thought those numbers might have changed your list.
No, I saw that list. I actually saw that list, but I didn't take it into consideration, obviously. But I went with Tua there. I think he is a product, like Brett mentioned, with Tyreek Hill. And so I gave Tua to number 3. Number 2, I went with Jalen Hurts. I think he's the hot guy right now. He's the guy that's doing it all right now. He's doing it with his arm. He's doing it with his legs. He's commanding that offense. This looks comfortable and looks better and better every week. So I went with Jalen Hurts. And obviously number 1, with Patrick Mahomes. I just think he's not only the best quarterback in the game, but probably the best player, in my opinion. That's who I voted for last week when we were doing the best player in the league. So I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes there, number 1.
All right, guys. So number 1, I went with Tom Brady. Number 2, I'm just kidding. No, for real. My number 1 is Aaron Rodgers. No, I'm just kidding. No, but there's no need for me to go down 4, 3, 2, 1 because me and K-Walk has the same exact list. So for Josh Allen, I mean, what could I say? The reason why he fell to number 4 for those, he's been a little inconsistent as of late. I think he'll get back on track as we go into the last so many weeks of the NFL season and heading into the playoffs. Especially with that constant turning the ball over, taking a little bit more risk than you would like. I don't think he needs to do all that. Number 3, I love Tua. I respect Tua. He is a huge product of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. That is an explosive offense. I can most likely be back there and have a lot of these numbers. But I just can't do the hit. I can't take the hit. So I have way more fumbles and be out the game. But no, I have to give Tua credit. He's been accurate, because you got to get somebody somebody has to throw the football to these guys. So he's been accurate. Timing has been down on par. So I have to give him credit. Number 2, Jalen Hurts. I mean, what the heck can I say? I knew going in from his year 2 to year 3, he would have to improve his passing. Boy, has he done that and then some. He's literally has carried this team on his back, my team, the Philadelphia Eagles, on his back the last 3 weeks through all the nonsense of the role players. We have such a talented team, but it just seems like the role players can't get it together on the offensive side. And then in special teams is not playing right. They got to get that together. Defense got to get healthy. So as that comes along, in the meantime, in between time, he's like, I got to carry my team, put my team on my back and carry them. And that's what he's been doing. He's been playing lights out. Number 1, of course, it's hard to go against Patrick Mahomes. Like, you try to put Jalen Hurts or somebody else at number 1, and then Patrick Mahomes plays like he just did recently or the last couple weeks. I mean, what can you say? He scrambles out. The one thing I love about Patrick Mahomes, which I don't understand why no other quarterback ever utilizes this, is he understands where his line of scrimmage is. He will run around all day behind that line of scrimmage, especially when they're at the goal line. He'll run right up to the line of scrimmage when once he sees that defender commits and he tosses the ball right over top. Does it every single time and it's unstoppable. It's like the defense never sees it coming. What study film? What do they study in film session? Because he does it every single game. So I can't help Patrick Mahomes best quarterback in this league by far. And he shows it every single week, week by week by week. All right, guys. So until anybody listening can prove, say otherwise, or tell me otherwise, as much as I want to say Jalen Hurts or somebody else, I can't. It's just too hard. It's too hard.
I still got Tua.
Yeah. Those numbers were sick. Those numbers are sick. And I'm afraid to face him this week too, guys. As a 49er fan, I'm just not looking forward to chasing this guy around or seeing my team chase him around.
And you're right, Jay. But when everybody diss Patrick Mahomes, when Tyreek left, look what he's doing right now without him.
No doubt. He's been great.
Yes. All right, guys. So we're going to head into our next topic before we take a little quick break and then Jay takes over, because we got to talk about some basketball. We talk all day about football, but we got to bring in some NBA as well. Eventually, college season really starts getting into the midst of college season. We'll talk about that as well. But I have 3 teams for you guys: the Miami Heat, the 10-11 Miami Heat, the 12-9 Philadelphia 76ers, and the 10-11 Minnesota Timberwolves. I really want to know your thoughts on each one. You could pick one, whatever you want to talk about. But I want to know your thoughts on whichever team you want to talk about, or if you want to talk about all 3. Jay, I'm going to come to you first on this one.
I can probably talk about all 3 because I feel like they're all the same to me. Looking at their records, they're all underperforming. They're all not meeting the expectations that we thought coming into the season. And they're all really disappointing when you look at it. I mean, the Sixers have a little bit of a break because everyone in the East is kind of playing bad. So they're in that 5th spot right now, but the Heat in 10th and the Timberwolves in 10th, I don't think anyone would have expected that coming into the season. Now, the nice thing about the NBA is it is a long, long season. Mm-hmm. And all you got to do is go on a streak, win 4, 5, 6 in a row, and you're right back in the mix. So I don't think any of these teams need to push the panic button. Obviously, in Philly, they need to get healthy. I think that'll cure a lot of their woes. So no need to panic. But, once we start getting closer to Christmas, these teams have to get themselves in gear. So disappointing right now, but certainly still have plenty of time to get things turned around.
I agree. It's been 25, usually like that 25 game. You really see how your team is as long as they're healthy. Miami Heat, 10-11, but they're missing Jimmy Butler. I think he's been out for a little bit, right, guys? If I'm not mistaken. Yes. He's been out for a little bit, so that's a huge hit to that team. Philadelphia hurt. I will give props to the Philadelphia 76ers, not just because they're my team, but because they were missing literally before Joel Embiid came back last night 4 starters in that lineup at one point. Tobias Harris came back, and they were able somehow in their last 9 games, they won 7, which is to me incredible. They just beat the Atlanta Hawks last night after being down 16 points with a rusty Joel Embiid, but he was able to play well in the second half. My question's the Minnesota Timberwolves. I know Karl-Anthony Towns got hurt, but they're a big team. And I just don't know how this Rudy Gobert thing is going to work. I understand they're trying, everybody wants to emulate things of the past, kind of reminds you of the Spurs team back in the day when they had David Robinson, Tim Duncan. They was just like tall. I don't know if this is going to work. I love Anthony Edwards. I like Karl-Anthony Towns. I like D'Angelo Russell. May not have liked what he did back in the day with the Lakers, but I like him as a player. I don't know if this is going to work with what they're trying to accomplish, which is a championship. So it's going to be interesting how that works. But I think for the other 2 teams, they have to get healthy. That's the biggest thing. Get healthy, and most likely they'll be right back in the playoff hunt. But K-Walk, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, especially what Jay said as far as these teams, in the East, it's kind of close. It looks like the Miami Heat are in 10th place. They're 10 and 11. But if you look at the other teams that are ahead of them, if you have a playoff spot, the fifth seed, I think the fifth seed is the Sixers. They're only 2 games out of that fifth spot. So, like Jay said, I mean, it's still early right now, and like you said, you start to worry about around Christmas time if you're still in that 10th spot and you're down 5-6 games, and that's when you really have to start, asking yourself what kind of moves do we have to make here? Do we have to make a trade or what have you? But you mentioned as far as the Miami Heat go, Jimmy Butler's been out for a while. Tyler Hero just came back from being out 8 games. Max Screws has been out for a little bit with his shoulder injury. Bam is starting to step up. Kyle Lowry's been playing a lot of minutes, which I don't like. At his age 38, you don't want him playing those type of minutes that he's been playing with the absence of Jimmy Butler. But they're still in the mix. They understand that these young guys are coming off the bench. They're getting a lot of quality time. Like Highsmith, he's doing a phenomenal job there. So I'm not too concerned about Miami. Like you mentioned, Brett, it's just they got to get healthy. The same thing with the Sixers. I mean, if they could be in the fifth spot with all those guys being out that you mentioned, those top 4 guys, everyone but Tobias Harris, as far as the starters go, then you're good. You're in good shape because the guys are going to slowly but surely come back, and then you're going to start hitting on all cylinders and then take off from there. Now the Timberwolves is that team that you got to start to worry about. I know Cat's out right now, but before he went out, it just seemed like the chemistry is off. It's just not working for them, and they had high expectations coming in to this season, making not only getting to the playoffs but making a deep playoff run, especially coming off of the season that they had last season. So that's the only team out of the 3 that I would be concerned about right now because they're not playing up to the expectation. The other 2 teams you could just blame it on health for sure. So the only team right now that I'm concerned about is the Timberwolves out of these 3.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing I will say about the Sixers, Doc Rivers, I'm speaking to Doc. This probably should be a part of my rant, but I'm speaking to Doc Rivers right now. You see how your bench unit is playing without your top players in the game, even without Joe Embiid. They defense first. I think ever since those guys went out, they've been a top team as far as defense. Thanks to PJ Tucker. Thanks Miami. And DeAnthony Melton. And they've been leading with defense, which has been creating more on the offensive side of the ball. Doc, you understand, you should know your lineups now after the starters sit from now on. Get it together and don't be stuck in your old ways. But let's see how that works. Benny, one more question before we head into break and Jay takes over. Real quick, just go around. K-Rock, I'm going to start with you. Miami Heat, do you think they're overrated or underrated?
I don't think they're either one. I mean, if you go by their record and what they came off of last year, I'll say they're overrated. Excuse me. I'll say they're overrated if I had to pick one or the other, just because of their record and where they're at right now, 10th spot.
So they're overrated?
I said that they're overrated. Yeah, I mean, because right now, I mean, they're expected to come in there. They're
based off of expectations.
Yeah, expectations, and you come in there right now. They're overrated. I mean, I don't think they're overrated or underrated. I think they're properly rated right now. But if I had to pick one or the other, I'm picking overrated.
Oh, you know what? We could throw in there a to be determined. How about that?
All right.
Jay,
TBD.
TBD. Jay. Overrated, underrated, Miami Heat, or TBD?
I agree with K-Walk. Like, I think if you look at the expectations, then yes, that they're overrated. But it's too early, right? I think it's got to be determined with them because I do think they're going to get things back on track. Their coach is too good to let them continue to not play well, so they're going to be fine.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to agree with you guys. I guess right now, I'm not even going to give a rating to be determined because once they get healthy, I still think they have to trade for somebody.
Yeah, definitely.
I still think they need to trade for somebody because they did lose a lot in the offseason.
Bradley Beal.
Due to us. Bill. And yeah, that's I don't know if he's leaving. But we'll see. All right. Philadelphia 76ers, Jay, overrated, underrated, to be determined. Don't be a Nets fan right
no,
now.
No,
Just
I'm not.
get angry.
I told you, I got this Philly green on tonight. I'm trying to be fair. Yeah, I'm going to have to say to be determined. It's hard to really judge this team fairly just because so many guys have been hurt. So, I mean, we really don't know what Philly is right now because everyone's hurt. I imagine if this team is fully healthy, they're going to contend for the East. So they're to be determined for me.
I'm going to say to be determined. They got to get healthy. Make sure, again, Doc, you better get this team, the lineups right. When you substitute, you come on now, get these minutes right. Yes, I don't know if I sound a little country when I said that, but I did that on purpose. So I did that on purpose. But K-Walk, overrated, underrated, to TBD.
I'm gonna say the starting five, they're overrated. You know, even when they played together, they were overrated. They were losing games left and right. But this team right now, presently constructed, they're underrated. So I guess if you bring the both to me, it's TBD, to be determined. But I had to throw that out because they weren't playing well when they were healthy, Britt. They were not playing very well when they were healthy. They had all five starters going. They were like they started off 0-3, 0-4, 1-3, whatever that was.
1-4.
1-4, but then these guys started getting hurt, and these young kids, guys off the bench are starting to, turn it around. Now they're 12 and what's their record now? 12 and
9.
12 and 9 in the fifth spot.
You do understand we always had a better record than your Miami Heat when y'all were healthy, right?
You do understand that.
Why we get a different rating than y'all do?
What's that?
Why do we get a different rating than y'all do?
Because you're actually playing better right now. You're actually playing better than we are. So that's why I said,
said they were overrated.
No, I said the starting five. Your starting five in the beginning.
But what about your
meaning Embiid? I was making a joke, but yeah, but I had to defend my answer.
I'm a moderator right now. I gotta challenge you a little bit.
So wait, let me just to be clear, K-Walk, you were saying the starting five they played like a bunch of bums, but the new guys are playing well. Is that pretty much
exactly what I'm saying? That's
okay,
exactly
Britt, that sounds like a shot, a little bit of a shot.
No, that's why I challenged them a little bit, but it's okay. I'm gonna let this shot go because I don't see Miami going very far this year if they don't make the trade.
All right, TBD.
But I don't want to disrespect Miami too much because I love Jimmy Butler. I love Jimmy Butler as a player.
PJ Tucker wasn't that great of a pickup either. So just let you know.
I don't know. PJ Tucker's been doing great for us on the defensive side of the ball. We don't need him to do much on the offense, but he's been opening up a lot for Tobias Harris, who's been making crazy shots. But anyway, we got one more team I gotta get because then we gotta get to Jay. You throwing me off, K-Walk. Throwing me off. Minnesota, real quick, because we gotta move over to Jay. K-Walk, I'll come to you first. Overrated, underrated.
Yeah, I think, like I mentioned earlier, I think they're definitely overrated because they're healthy, and other than Cat just recently getting hurt, we had high expectations, so definitely overrated.
Okay, I think they're overrated. I don't know if it's going to work with Rudy Gobert. I think they went and did a little too much and gave up way too much for him. But Jay, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. Overrated. They look great on paper, but it doesn't play out on the court, so overrated.
All right, guys. So you heard that. K-Walk threw me off a little bit, guys. Trying to challenge the moderator. You don't challenge me right now. I challenge you. But guys, we're going to head into a quick break. It's going to probably be like a real quick 20-second break. Jay's going to take over, but please subscribe to our channel, The Sideline Speaks. YouTube, the same thing. If you're on Twitch, we're trying to build up both at the same time, and The Sideline Speak as well on Facebook. Everything's The Sideline Speaks. We're the only Sideline Speaks. So as long as you know how to spell, get type, we appreciate it. Show us some love, subscribe, and share to us. But you guys are listening to The Sideline Speaks with myself, Britne Jones, alongside Jason Collins and Kevin Walker, right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Media Network.
You're inside Never Had It So Good Sports Radio with Princess Cooper, Tim Moore, David the Duck Riley, Jason Collins, Shoshana Cook, Britne Jones, Travis McGee, Eric Scott, and Kevin Walker. We make it easy to talk sports.
All right, welcome back to The Sideline Speaks with Britne Jones, Kevin Walker, and Jason Collins. All right, guys, let's jump back into a little bit of football talk. I feel like every week we've got to get in a little Cowboys, Eagles, NFC discussion. But we're gonna keep it positive this week. I just want to know who are the best two teams in the NFC. It looks like to me it might be the Eagles and the Cowboys, but I want to hear from you guys. There's some other contenders out there, right? The Vikings, K-Walk, your 49ers as well. But what do you think? K-Walk, I'll start with you, man. If you had to say today, who are the best two teams in the NFC?
I'm going to have to say right now it's the Eagles and my 49ers. You know, I don't like to talk about my 49ers because I don't like to jinx them, man. Every time I talk good about them, something bad always happens. So I don't like to talk about them too much, ladies and gentlemen. You don't see me post anything and saying, you know, bang bang Niner gang or anything like that. I just go about my business. But I have to say the 49ers look like the best team right now. Okay. I just think what that defense is doing right now and what what they've been able to do in the last 3-4 games. The offense is starting to click. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo is not turning the ball over, which is huge for any quarterback to not turn the ball over. So I definitely and they love to play physical football. So I like the Eagles and the 49ers. Just everything that I mentioned about Jalen Hurts earlier about the Eagles and how well he's playing. He's the engine to make that team go. So the Eagles and 49ers.
Would you have the Cowboys third, K-Walk? Or?
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah, definitely. I would definitely have the Cowboys third because of the way they're playing on defense as well. Anytime you have a great defense that can travel, then, you know, you have a chance. And Dak Prescott is playing really good football as well. And they seem to be clicking on offense as well. You know, they're doing a great job of mixing in Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott. Brown is starting to step his game up on the offensive side of the ball. And, CeeDee Lamb, he's looking like a beast out there too. And, of course, you know, you got the dominant Michael Parsons as well. The only Achilles heel about the Cowboys, man, I just don't know about Mike McCarthy and some of the mistakes some of the coaching moves that he makes or doesn't make. And also those penalties seem to hurt the Cowboys as well.
Yeah, man, McCarthy's definitely a wild card. I think, though, for me right now, I'm probably going to go Eagles-Cowboys. The Eagles have looked great. I've tried week after week to, you know, sit and wish and hope that they would kind of fall off because I love taking little jabs at Brit. But
I know
they just been good, man. Like, I can't even say anything about them. Jalen Hurts has been phenomenal. You know, and they're a little banged up too. When they get some of those interior defensive linemen back, man, watch out. So I love the way Philly's playing right now. For me, the Cowboys, after blowing out the Vikings a couple weeks ago, then coming back and really controlling the Giants in the second half of that football game on Thanksgiving, that was two really good games in a row. So I've got them second. And then, of course, K-Walk, I do think your 49ers might be the most talented out of everyone. And 2-3 weeks from now, they very well could be the best team in the NFC. But right now, I've got them third. But Britt, what say you?
I think right now, as hard it is for me to say this, by the way, because you know, I have to go with the Eagles Cowboys right now. And the reason why I say that is because 49ers, great defense. Jimmy Garoppolo, always questionable in the regular season. Now, playoff time, somehow he wins. So I have to call him a winner during playoff time. But right now, in this moment, I got to say Eagles, Cowboys, because I think the only bad thing about the 49ers is the quarterback. That's it. That's it. To me, that's what it is. To me, he's still to this day, the big question mark, in my opinion. Okay. Playoff time, I don't know. It's just like he wins. Somehow he wins. Like a couple years ago, they got to the NFC Championship. How? I have no idea. They leaned on that much with the defense, but I'm just saying. I'm not trying to dish your team. Hey, why you doing everything? I'm trying to dish your team. I'm trying to dish your team. Your team's a great team. I just think right now, Eagles, Cowboys, they got things really rolling right now. I'm not here to knock Jimmy Garoppolo or Jimmy G. He's been playing great. As far as my Eagles, they got to get that special teams together because you put your defense in some position and certain positions last game, like it could have killed this, but it didn't due to Jalen Hurts putting the team on his back and carrying the team. And I think they'll get it together. And like to what Jay alluded to is we have to get healthy on the defensive side of the ball. We just lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson to a kidney laceration or a lacerated kidney. Hopefully, we still don't know the timeline. Hopefully it doesn't last no more than a few weeks, but we'll find out. Jordan Davis should be back hopefully this week or next week. Then we got to get Avonte Maddox, who's one of the top slot corners in the league. So we're still waiting for him. So we've been hurt a lot. And we got to get that run defense together. Offensively, AJ Brown, you got to pass last week because you were sick. Apparently lost so much weight. You see bloodshot eyes from throwing up. So I give you a pass for that fumble. But this week you don't get no pass. This your former team. You better get it together. And then the Cowboys, as much as I can't stand this team, I have to give them credit right now. Defense has been rolling. Dak Prescott, I still don't trust him, but so much because I think he's going to make a huge dumb wrist throw that he doesn't need to make, and is going to get intercepted. And then same thing that K-Walk said, I don't trust Mike McCarthy very much, but I think in this moment is Eagles Cowboys, but the 49ers is right in that mix. So that's it right there.
K-Walk, did you want to respond to any of that before I moved on?
I'm good, Jay.
Okay. It looked like you had something in you, but okay. All right.
Wait, Jay gave me K-Walk gave me the look that you gave him when he didn't say your Cowboys team in the top.
I don't like to talk about him. I don't like to big him up. I'm just saying. I just watch and hope and let the chips fall where they may.
But
no,
look,
I'm not.
Now, we didn't say none of these teams are going to win the Super Bowl. We don't know yet. But right now, to me, who's the best or top three will be those three teams. Right now, in the top two in this moment. Next week, odds are that's going to change. But
yeah. I'm not arguing. I'm not saying
let me throw this at you guys. Let me throw this at you guys because Britt made me think of this when she was talking. Out of the three quarterbacks, Dak, Jalen Hurts, and Jimmy G, which one do you trust most going forward? When you look at those three QBs, they're all different, but they have some similarities maybe in the way that people view them. Okay, Walk, out of those three, which one do you trust the most?
Again, I'm going to sound like I'm going to jinx my guys, but I'm going to trust Jimmy Garoppolo the most because I know what we're going to get. It's the same age-old saying: you trust the devil, you know, and you don't trust the angel, you do. I mean, you do. You trust the angel, you don't trust the angel, you don't know. I don't know what we're going to get with Dak. We seen last season what Dak did in the playoffs. We've seen that move that he made, not understanding the clock, not giving the ball to the ref at the time against my 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have to be that guy. He does all he has to do is just, I'm not saying he's a game manager. Jimmy G, if you're listening, you're not a game manager, brother. You're not. All you have to do is just get the ball into your playmakers' hands and let them do what they do. Jalen Hurts, I think the Eagles rely more on Jalen Hurts than the 49ers rely on Jimmy Garoppolo. And the same thing holds true with the Cowboys. So that's why I trust I'm trusting the devil that I know as opposed to the angel that I don't know. So that's why I just don't know what we're going to get from those other two quarterbacks, but I do know what we're going to get for Jimmy Garoppolo as long as he just dunks those balls down and he doesn't have to make those 55-yard touchdown passes. He doesn't have to use his legs to extend the play. He doesn't have to do that. He just has to just get into his playmaker's hands. So that's why I trust Jimmy more than those other two guys.
It's a fair point, K-Walk, because how much Philly relies on Jalen, you almost feel like there's more opportunities for something to go wrong. And even similarly with Dak, because they rely on him so much, more opportunities maybe for something to go wrong. That's a tough one, but K-Walk, I think I'm going to agree with you just because Jimmy G, out of those three guys, he's the one that's been there. He has gotten his team to a Super Bowl. Now, whether you say, he rode the team's coattails there or he was a game manager to get
I don't care how he got there.
Or whatever people want to say about him, he's the guy that has gotten his team to a Super Bowl. So I think I'm going to agree with you and say Jimmy G. But Britt, what say you here? Jalen's been phenomenal. Who do you trust the most?
As much as I would love to go with Jalen, I think experience plays a factor in this. I don't know what Jalen's going to do when it comes to playoff time. I'm not sure. Now, my understanding, I've heard it, from a lot of different former players, college football plays a factor. He's played at Alabama, and he's played in the big game, so he understands how to handle himself. But this is still the NFL. So I don't know what he's going to do around playoff time. I'm hoping he has the same mindset, the same calmness, all of that going into playoff time and carries himself the same. But we don't know. We only see one game and how that turned out wasn't great. Granted, it was his first year as a full-time starter, going against one of the top last year. Tom Brady, and that defense was crazy. Dak, I don't trust Dak. I don't trust Dak. Every time he plays an important game in my mind, especially in the playoffs, somehow that team finds a way to fumble it every single year. They can have all the talent in the world. It's been plenty of years where they have, since Dak has gotten to this team, where they're the best team in the NFL, and fumbled it in the playoffs. Last year it was the snap. A couple years ago, I think when Des Bryant, like a few years ago, it was a drop pass. A couple years ago, it was something else. So it was always something with Dak and the Cowboys. I don't trust Dak at all. I gotta go with Jimmy G. To me, he's the elite game manager of all game managers. I said it. He's the game manager, the elite game manager. But he finds the way to win. Huh? What'd you say?
I said, that's going to make me mad, bro.
I'm not trying to disrespect
No, I
him,
know. I'm just kidding.
But he's a winner. I don't know what it is about Jimmy G, but he finds a way to win the game. I know they lean so much on the defense side. Matter of fact, was it last year against the Packers, I believe. They won because of the defense, because Jimmy G couldn't do anything. But that team always finds a way to win. And that is what it is. They got the Jimmy G luck on their side.
Yeah, you know what? It's going to be fun because all three of our teams, as we get into the playoffs, we're going to have a lot of fun back and forth. That's for sure. So it's going to be fun. Let's shift gears, guys. College football, the big game over the weekend, Michigan, Ohio State. Fourth quarter comes around and Michigan just runs roughshod over those Buckeyes. K-Walk, were you surprised? I know you picked Ohio State, but it's a game that could go either way.
Right.
But were you surprised how Michigan sort of just took the game over and dominated Ohio State late in that football game?
Absolutely, Jay. Absolutely. No one saw that coming. I don't care who you are. You could be the biggest Michigan fan in the world. You could be the biggest Ohio State hater in the world. And there's no way in the world you're going to convince me that you saw that coming. No one saw that coming. It was just something. It looks like they had their number. They came to play. They were more physical. And that's a Jim Harbaugh coach team. He's shown that throughout his career, when he was at Stanford, when he was with the 49ers, when he led them to the Super Bowl. And this is what he's doing with Michigan. He just showed that you run the ball, you play physical, you play defense, and they just outright just stifled that offense. And I didn't think anyone can stifle that offense, meaning, CJ Stroud and Marvin Harrison Jr. I just didn't see that coming. And no one saw it coming. And again, you can't convince me that you did, but very, very surprised there. And Michigan has opened my eyes and showed me that, they can get it done when they needed to do it. I think they were playing possum the majority of the season. So hats off to them to kind of waking up, if you will, and getting it done when they needed to get it done.
Yeah, I thought that Michigan's offensive line, the physicality of their offensive line, after watching Ohio State play Penn State and seeing Penn State run the ball pretty well against them, I thought Michigan's going to be able to run the ball against Ohio State. But I didn't expect them to dominate the way that they did. Wow. The plays that they made downfield in the passing game, I don't think anyone could have called that. No. So you got to give Michigan a lot of credit. For sure. Britt, your Buckeyes, what are your thoughts? Disappointing loss. They obviously had college football playoff aspiration. That kind of hangs in the balance now. But what were your thoughts about the game on Saturday?
Ouch. What is a Buckeye? Is a Buckeye some sort of tree or
it's like a
like
tree
that?
Nut or something like that? Yeah.
Okay, well, whatever it is, it just got turned into something else. Some paper. It got chopped up, paper, cracked, something. Because Michigan just ran all over them. I think Ohio State gave up 252 rushing yards, 278 passing yards with a total of 530 yards. What the heck? And the penalties didn't help at all. They had 9 penalties for 91 yards. So you're talking about almost 100 yards in penalties. CJ Stroud had 2 interceptions. The receivers did what they were supposed to do, but at that point, it's too late now. Right. But I have to give credit to the Wolverines, the Michigan I don't want to say their name. I have to give credit
Team up
to
north.
Michigan.
Team up north.
Yes, the team up north. I have to give credit to Michigan. Donovan Edwards, that running back, killed it. 22 carries, 216 yards, almost 10 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. And I never heard of Cornelius Johnson until today. That's because, guys, I'm a true Buckeye fan, so I don't pay attention to Michigan. I try not to at all. But he ripped Ohio State's defense. I don't know what Ohio State's going to do because they have a team to potentially win it all. But after that showing, you do have a lot of concerns. Like Jay said, the trenches is not their forte whatsoever. They're struggling right now in the trenches. They have all the talent in the world. But to me, one of the most important positions of football is what you do in the trenches. And they're not good in the trenches whatsoever. But on to the next game. Hopefully they can make the playoffs.
Yeah, to show you how important this rivalry is, like Ryan Day has been great since he's been at Ohio State. I think he's only lost a few conference games since he's been there. And there's some Buckeye fans calling for him to be fired after losing 2 years in a row to Michigan. So it's just crazy. But, guys, there were a lot of upsets. LSU went down. South Carolina beat Clemson, kind of shook up the top 10. But let me get your top 4 now with all the changes, with Ohio State losing. K-Walk, you said the committee earlier came out with the top 4. It was Georgia, Michigan. Who they have at 3?
They had TCU at 3 and USC at 4.
So Georgia, Michigan, TCU, USC. That's the official top 4 from the committee. But K-Walk, who is your top 4 as it stands right now?
Yeah, I'm gonna stay with the picks that I had. My top 4 that I put in our thread earlier this weekend, or over the weekend. And I'm gonna go with Georgia at 1, Michigan at 2. I'm going to go Ohio State. I still think Ohio State is the top 4 team in the country. And I put TCU there. The reason why I got TCU or Ohio State ahead of TCU is I just think TCU doesn't. I mean, I know they play in the Big 12 and there's a lot of scoring in there, but I just don't think that they play the type of schedule that Ohio State plays. We're going to see this weekend, obviously, with the championship games. We got TCU playing K-State. And K-State could put up some points there. So we know Ohio State is going to be rooting for K-State and a couple other teams behind them as well. Alabama still has a chance to get in there as well. But those are my top 4 again. Georgia 1, Michigan 2, Ohio State 3, and TCU at 4.
All right, so you've got 1-loss Buckeyes ahead of undefeated TCU. Okay.
Yeah.
And Britt, what say you? What's your top 4 right now?
I think me and K-Walk is just on the same page today. I don't know what's going on. It's a weird Tuesday today. No.
Weird. I don't know how to take that.
But no, same thing. 1, Georgia. And, for the last so many weeks, I've been picking Ohio State because I'm like, I'm not giving Georgia this much credit. But Georgia is just dominant. I think they're the team to beat this year again. 2, Michigan. But 2, Michigan. They beat Ohio State, so I gotta give it up to them. Can't stand them, but I gotta give it up to them. 3, I also put Ohio State. I think they just, like K-Walk said, they have a much more competitive schedule than TCU or USC. And I just think Ohio State is better than those 2 teams. And then I just feel like TCU and USC, I kind of see them as the Clemson of last year. I think it was Cincinnati. I think it was Cincinnati of last year, where they were undefeated, but they didn't play anybody. And when push come to shove, they get in the playoffs. They got bounced out the very first round because they didn't have anybody competitive to go up against. But 3, Ohio State. And then 4, I was a little torn between TCU and USC, but I did go with TCU because they are undefeated. So
okay. You know what? I think I'm in line with the committee this week. I like Georgia at 1 and Michigan at 2. I feel like TCU deserves some love. I mean, they play in a Power 5 conference. They're undefeated. So I do have them at 3. And then 4, looking at USC and Ohio State, USC lost to Utah by 1 point. Ohio State loses by over 20 at home to Michigan, completely dominated. So I feel like for me, because of the way Ohio State lost at home, I'm going to give that edge to USC right now and have them at number 4. So I'm in line with the committee. I do have Ohio State at 5. I know some people want 2-loss Alabama at 5. I can't see that. You lose 2 games, you don't deserve to be ahead of 1-loss Ohio State. But we got some big games this weekend. I just want to look at 2, though. The Big 12 championship, Kansas State versus TCU, and then the is it the Pac-10 or the Pac-12? What do they call it
Pac-12.
now?
Pac-12. Utah.
USC and Utah rematch.
Yeah.
Those games, I feel like there could be some upsets there.
Yes.
Those are the 2 games that if there's going to be an upset, I think it could be there. K-Walk, do you see any of those games being an upset, the Big 12 championship or the Pac-12 championship?
I see if any one of these 2, Jay, I see K-State upsetting TCU. I do. I think K-State can put some points on the board. I mean, they can put some serious points on the board. So, and TCU, I know they did what they did last week, but it's going to be a good one. I think I'm going to take TCU, but I would not be surprised if K-State wins this game. Now, as far as Utah and USC, that's a game that USC really wants back, obviously, because of the Pac-12, and they can avenge that loss that they had early in the season, as you mentioned. I don't know. Utah seems they're just in the mix, but they don't really scare me. So I'm going to take USC to win over Utah, and I'm going to take TCU over K-State, but I'm a little hesitant with that one, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm waiting for that to happen for sure.
Yeah, man. I think we're going to get a little bit of chaos. It would just be too easy if everyone wins.
Right.
I think you're right. I think Kansas State has a really good chance to beat TCU. TCU's been kind of fighting for their life week after week after week. I think they're going to get beat this weekend. Now, look, that first Utah and USC game was like 43-42. It was crazy high scoring. I think we're going to see something very similar again. I feel like USC is not going to lose to them twice, so I think USC might escape. But I agree, K-Walk. I think Kansas State has a really good chance to get TCU. I'm hoping we get some upsets. I just want to see the chaos. So that Big 12 championship and the Pac-12, those are going to be the 2 to keep your eye on. Britt, what say you? Do you see any upsets in either of those 2 games?
I'm going for it, guys. I'm going double upset. I'm going Kansas
She
State.
needs it. She needs it.
I'm going Kansas State, and I'm going Utah to win this game. Yes, needed to as well. I have no reasons behind it, guys. I just want those 2 to win, to be honest with you.
Well, you need them to win so Ohio State can get it.
Exactly.
That's the reason.
But I think that first game, I know people had that same logic, Jay, and I don't see USC losing twice, but they could lose a second time. Why not?
Could, for
they
sure.
Could absolutely lose a second time. And then Kansas State?
Yeah.
State. TCU. I don't know if I really believe in TCU. That's the funny part. I know I put them in my top 4. I think that was mainly due to record. I don't know if I really believe in them. So they have to show me before I could say, oh, yeah, for sure TCU. So I'm going with Kansas State.
Yeah, no, you make a good point about TCU. I think they deserve to be in the top 4 based off their record, but there's probably 5-6 teams that on a neutral field, I'd probably pick to beat TCU. So I don't necessarily believe they're one of the best 4 teams in the country, but based off of what they've done, I feel like they probably should be in the top 4. All right, guys, let's shift gears a little bit. I just got a couple of random kind of fun questions for you guys just to see where you're going to go with this.
Wait, Jay, please let the world know we do have no idea what these questions are.
Yes, I did not give you guys a heads up at all about what these questions were going to be. I just kind of wanted to get your raw, quick reaction to them. I actually saw one of these on one of the shows. I don't remember which one, but they were talking about like players in certain cities, right? And one of the cities was Dallas. And if you could only have one player in Dallas, would you rather have Luka on the Mavericks or Micah Parsons on the Cowboys? Which one is more important to the city? Which one do you think Dallas fans, if they had to keep one and let one go, who would you keep? Would you keep Luka and let Micah go? Or would you keep Parsons and let Luka go? K-Walk, what say you?
I think this is an easy one. I think Dallas fans want to keep Micah, man, because of the fact that I think the Cowboy fans are the Cowboy fans. It's their year, like it is every year. And Micah Parsons plays a huge a huge part in that. Luka, we seen what Luka did last season. You don't really have high expectations for Dallas, other than the Mavericks, meaning other than getting to the playoffs, making a decent run. But this year, right now, it's got to be the Cowboys, Micah Parsons and the Cowboys, because how well they're playing right now, the position that they're in, the defense that they're playing, and the expectation level. So I think it's Micah Parsons for the Cowboys.
Okay, well, what if you said over the next decade? Would your thoughts change on that? If you not just focusing on this year, but if you were going to focus on the next decade, would that change anything for you?
No, because of the fact of the matter is Micah Parsons is still going to be that guy on that team, on America's team. Again, we know how the Cowboy fans feel about the Cowboys, and he's going to play an integral part of their success. So I'm still going to stay with, even for now and for the long haul. I think Micah Parsons is going to be more important to the Cowboys than Luka is to the Mavs.
It's interesting. I didn't think it was that easy, man, because people think Luka's like a generational player. Not that Micah isn't, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they have Luka penciled in to win a couple of championships. Okay. Can Parsons get the Cowboys over that hump? It's a little harder in football.
Every year they think he can.
But Britt, what say you? Luka or Micah? If you're a Dallas person and you could only keep one.
Thank goodness I'm not a Dallas person, by the way. No. See, Dallas is their huge fan base, but they're not like a LA or Philadelphia, where or I should say more Philadelphia. Philadelphia, all your sports matter. LA is all about basketball for the most part. Dallas, I feel like it's all about football. I don't know if I'm the only one that gets that vibe. I really feel like it's like Philly's a football town, but we love all our sports. I feel like Dallas is a football town too. I recently went there, and I know everything Jerry Jones owns. That's all they talk about when they're down. Jerry Jones. I don't really like Jerry Jones like that, but everything is about Jerry Jones. Respect to him. Got a lot of nice buildings down there, by the way. And hey, Jerry, if you want to give me in your helicopter, I'll take that. I like you then. Come on, Jerry. But no, I think it's Michael all the way. I respect Luka. I think Luka is talented. To me, is he like this one of the generational talents of all time? Yes and no. I think there's more talented guys right now in the NBA than he is, but I definitely put him in the top 4 as far as young talent. But it's like people forget about Ja Morant. You forget about a young Anthony Edwards and what they're doing. So I got to go with Micah. Micah is the difference maker for this Cowboys team. Prior to Micah, the defense wasn't doing anything. As soon as Micah Parsons get to that team, now they got this all-world defense. I don't know where it came from because DeMarcus Lawrence wasn't doing nothing. As talented as he is, and he's talented, he took one step further when Micah Parsons got there. Micah is the difference maker in my mind. And yes, I'm a huge Micah Parsons fan. And I need to tell you, Dallas fans, Luka is not Michael Jordan. So stop that conversation right now. I have heard that multiple times. He's not Michael. He's not Kobe. Stop it. Stop. Okay, go ahead.
Look, I think you guys both made great points. I think I'm going to go the other way on this. And here, well, first, let me say I love Micah as well. He's a Penn State guy. I mean, look, phenomenal football player, should win the defensive MVP, all that great. But the reason I think I'm going to go Luka is because I think in football, it's harder for one guy to make that kind of an impact. Where in basketball, if you've got one great player, they can really be a big difference maker. It's just harder in football for one guy, especially on defense, to make a huge difference, I think. So for that reason, I'm going to take Luka. I think over the next decade, Luka maybe could Dallas win a championship or two? Maybe with Luka running the show. I think they maybe could. Whereas I think Micah, as great as he is, he's always going to need help. He's always going to need the offense to play well. So it's just harder in football because you only play on one side of the ball. So I'm going to take Luka instead.
Problem with Luka, he plays no defense.
That's true. That is true.
You want to be one of the best players. Yes, and he's a drama king. If you want to be considered one of the best players of all time, you need to play defense. Michael Jordan played defense. Kobe Bryant played defense. Even LeBron James played defense.
No,
Nowadays,
that's
he might be look like I'm getting older, but he played defense. Remember those rundown blocks? Best players always play defense.
That's true. That's a great point. That's a great point. It'd be interesting to see what someone that actually cared about Dallas has to say. None of us, none of us have a dog in the fight on this one. So let's go to Philly. I tried to find a decent comparison for Philly. So I got Jalen Hurts and I got Joel Embiid. And Britt, you said, look, Philly fans love all their sports. They're passionate about all their sports. So let's say over the next 5 to 7 years, if you could only keep one of those guys, Britt, Jalen or Joel, which one would you hold on to?
Elizabeth, come on. I don't know. I don't know. We are a football town.
I think Britt, we lost you, Britt. The question took Britt out. Oh, there we go.
We're not that far. Did you guys froze? Did I freeze?
You froze, but you're back. You're back.
You're good.
I can't hear nobody. Hold on. Jay, go to K-Walk. I'm gonna have to go out and then come back in.
Okay. All right, K-Walk. I think the Philly question took Britt's whole system down. So I'll come to you real quick, K-Walk. Hurts or Embiid? If you could only try to get into the mind of
that's what I was trying to do.
That's hard, right?
That's what I was to do. That's what I was trying to do, Jay, because of the fact that I was waiting for her answer. Yeah, I was waiting for Britt's answer, because my answer was going to be her answer. So, because I know it's big time down there, man. I know it is. Wow, man. I mean, you got Jalen Hurts right now. He's just they got the best record in football right now. Joel Embiid. They have high expectations. So to use your example, if we're talking about 10 years down the road, wow, Jay, I mean,
tough.
This is kind of different because, with the Michael Parsons and the Luka thing, because Michael Parsons plays defense, but Jalen Hurts is an integral part of that offense. He's the head of the snake. So I'm going to take, I'm going to take Jalen Hurts in this one, Jay. I'm curious to see what Britt's going to say, but I'm going to take Jalen Hurts because he's young and he's getting better. Not every year, but every game he's getting better. Just to seeing what he did last week, what he does with his legs and what he can do with his arm as well. I know Joel Embiid is a freak of nature, man. He can take you inside. He can take you outside. He got cheated last year for the MVP, in my opinion. Oh, great question here, Jay, but I'm going to take Jalen Hurts, probably because I'm more of a football guy, so I'm probably going to always lean towards that than anything, but I'm going to go Jalen Hurts here, man. Hurts.
Man, this is a good one, but I think I agree with you. I'm going to go Hurts too, and sort of what you alluded to, because he's a quarterback, he's the franchise. I think I would take Hurts over Embiid, especially just also Embiid has had durability issues. You just don't know how available he's going to be. So I'm going to take Hurts. Britt, can you hear us? Are you back?
Good.
I think Britt is still struggling a little bit, trying to get set back up.
You good, Britt?
You got us now, Britt?
I think so. I don't know. Can you guys hear me?
We got you. Yeah.
We got you.
I think Wi-Fi in here is
we can hear you. We can hear you.
But no, I'm not echoing. Am I?
No, you're good. You're good to go.
Okay. All right, guys. So my apologies. Technology sucks sometimes, but no, that's really hard for me. It's hard for me to make that decision. I know right now it just seems like the Eagles. It seems like Jalen Hurts would be more important because I feel like they have a much better chance this year with him versus without him. But Joel Embiid is a dominant force, and he has become Philly. Jalen is on his way to becoming Philly. Can I do a TBD?
No.
I had to choose.
You got to make a choice, Britt. K-Walk and I both took Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
But you're Philly through and through. So you know your opinion matters.
Right.
You know all your Philly friends are watching, listening.
Yep.
What
And
do
I'm
you
trying not
say?
to fit my personal biasness because I'm a basketball person first, but I'm gonna have to go with Jalen Hurts too. If I'm thinking for as far as the city, I gotta go with Jalen. Jalen is just the way he's playing right now. He really has the city on his side. You know, they're like sign him long term, give him what he wants. Don't go too crazy, Howard, because we gotta make sure other players get paid. But I gotta sit. I have to stick with Jalen. I have to stick with Jalen. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we're all in agreement. That was a fun one, but we're all
for
in
sure, for
agreement.
sure.
That was hard. My heart was pounding.
Yeah.
Took out your Wi-Fi.
Right?
Took out
That's
your
why I
Wi-Fi.
went out. They didn't want me to answer the question
Took
at
the
all.
Wi-Fi right out on that one.
Yes.
All right, last one. This one's a little bit different, but still just kind of a weird, fun little question. Okay, well, I think I may have asked you this a couple times before. Britt, this will be the first time for you, but K-Walk, I'm trying to get you to change your mind on this. That's why I keep bringing it up.
Okay.
But if you could only watch one sport for the rest of your life, only one sport, and it's got to be specific. Like you can't just say basketball. You'd have to say like NBA or college basketball, college football, NFL, baseball, whatever the case may be. If you could only watch one for the rest of your life, which sport would that be? I'll start because it's easy for me.
Yeah.
College football has gone to the top of the list for me. I just love Saturdays, especially the ones like we just had over the weekend. So for me, if I could only watch one thing, college football is going to sit at the top of the list for me. But Britt, what about you? If you could only watch one sport, what would it be?
So out of all of the leagues plus
everything,
my audio went out a little bit. I'm having technology issues.
You're good. You're good.
And I love football, but you know what? I have to go with WNBA basketball.
Wow.
The reason why I say that is I think I love the NBA, but I think they so focus too much on how athletic somebody is versus how skilled and like fundamentally sound someone is. WNBA basketball, they play the game right. To me, when it comes to fundamentals, women's basketball is by far way above and beyond men's basketball. We get all excited because the men can dunk or, you know, they could jump up high or, you know, that's what we get excited about. But when you really love the game of basketball like I do, and you understand the techniques and, you know, footwork and how you should dribble the ball and shooting form, everybody in the WNBA can shoot. From the point guards to the centers majority of the time. I mean, unless you're Britne Griner, you can just dunk it. But that's where you get to excitement because it's dunking. But everybody can dribble. They're so much more fundamentally sound in the WNBA, and they play the game right versus the NBA. So that would be my choice.
Britt, I'm shocked. I was not expecting that. I understand your point, though, but I was not expecting that at all. K-Walk, what say you? I think I know what you're going to say. But
yeah, for sure. I just want to laugh at somebody's comment here. They say curling is theirs. That's funny.
That's
Dana.
Jay. That's Dana, man.
Is that Dana? Oh,
that's Dana.
Shout out to Dana.
Actually, wait. I think that's my mom, guys.
Is that your mom?
Oh, okay.
I think that's my mom.
Oh, I thought that was Dana. Okay, yeah, you know what? Yeah, that might be. Okay, go ahead.
That's a good sport, though. I like that too.
Yeah, Jay. I mean, this past weekend, this past Friday and Saturday, I should say, it was a strong case, Jay, for college football. Man, they made a strong case to say that might be the one. But I'm still going with the NFL, Jay. The NFL is my baby, man. I love it. I mean, I just watch. I watch every single game. I mean, I literally watch every single game every Sunday. I mean, every Sunday, Monday, or Thursday, Sunday, Monday. I literally watch every single game, man. So I'm just an NFL guy. I don't know what it is, but I love. Don't get me wrong. College football is exciting. It's hard to go against that, especially this past weekend. And we got some good ones coming up. We just mentioned earlier, but it's the NFL for me, man. It's just, I'm a 49er, guy, true and true. I can watch them all day, every day. You can see them by background. I'm all NFL, man, every day, all day, if I could.
All right, yeah, I knew that's where you were going, K-Walk. I'm gonna get you one. I'm gonna keep coming back to this every 6 months.
It's getting closer, Jay. If it could be like it was last
to
weekend, it's getting close. It's closing the gap,
I'm
though.
gonna get you, man. All right, guys, we got to get ready to start wrapping this thing up. It's getting late, but let's get our 1 minute rants in this week. Each week, you get 1 minute to just rant about whatever's on your heart. If you got any sports topic that you want to get off your chest. It could be negative. It could be positive. You take it any direction you want to take it. K-Walk, I think I'll start with you tonight, man. 1 minute on the clock.
Yeah.
What do you got this week? What's your
I'm not going to need the whole minute, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to go Alvin Kamara here, man. Alvin Kamara, man. It's just he's fading away right now, brother. I don't know what it is. You had 7 carries for 13 yards on Sunday versus my 49ers, and you had two turnovers, 2 crucial turnovers, one on the 1 yard line when you were going in to cut the lead in half, man. I mean, granted, I'm glad you did it because it against my 49ers, but at the same time, you're one of the best offensive players in a team right now that's still in the hunt. As bad as the Saints have been playing, they're still in the hunt to win the NFC South. So you got to step your game up, man. Hold on to that ball and be that offensive guy that you need to be.
Good stuff, K-Walk. Yeah, that was pretty weak the other day by the Saints and Kamara. Shout out to E. Scott. The Saints just couldn't get it done. Britt, I'm going to go next because mine won't be very long either.
Right, Jay, real quick, can I just do this for E. Scott?
Yeah.
Who that?
I'm gonna shoot E. Scott a text.
Y'all. That's me coming at.
Mine's gonna be short, guys. My rant is more of an apology. Last week I got on here and said that the Eagles weren't going anywhere, that they weren't gonna make any noise whatsoever. I'm offering an apology to the Eagles Nation, to Britne Jones as well. I was wrong about the Eagles. They look like a serious Super Bowl contender. If Jalen Hurts is going to play the way that he played the other night, the Eagles are going to be a tough out for anybody in the league. When they get healthy on defense, look out. This team is going to be a serious contender for the playoffs. Philly fans, I was wrong about the Eagles. You guys have a great football team. This is an apology rant to the city of Philadelphia. All right, Britt, that's my apology. I'm back in your good graces now, Britt.
I don't know how to take it, James.
Sounds like a hidden agenda right there.
Wait, you know how you always got that one ex that always try to come back over and over.
I messed up.
I'm like,
I was wrong, Britt. I was wrong. I'm just admitting I was wrong about the Eagles. I was wrong.
What's that saying, guys? First one, what is it?
Yeah. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me once,
first one, shame on you. Second one, I don't want to fall into that second one.
Come on, Britt. I'm offering a sincere apology.
How about this? If there's anybody from the Eagles Nation watching right now, y'all tell me what I should do.
Yeah.
All right. Let us know what you think of Jay's apology. Do you accept it, or do you like, he's still a Cowboys fan? Temporary.
Your mom is shouting out the Eagles in the chat, so I think she approved of my rant, Britt.
Well, I guess we'll find out. I'll hear it later. Definitely hear it later. Is it my turn?
Yeah, the floor is yours, Britt. Take it away.
I think mine's is going to be pretty short too. It kind of goes along with Jay. I started a little bit with the Sixers earlier, but I'm going to switch to the opposite team over here. Not that many words. Give Jalen Hurts respect. Put respect on his God-given name that his parents named him, okay? Put respect on that young man's name and stop disrespecting him, because this young man is balling for real. Ballin. I'm done. That's it.
I can't argue with it. At all.
It's right from Britne.
Gotta put some respect on his name for sure.
I love Mom's comment too.
Like a typical Eagles fan, we feel something about your apology. Oh man, I thought I kind of, that's my mea culpa, man. I thought I made nice with the Philly fans. Man, Philly fans are rough, man.
They are, brother.
But all right,
true
guys.
fans out here.
No, man. Ooh, we got to go ahead and wrap this thing up. You guys want to do who's balling real quick, or are you just ready to get out of here?
Yeah, I got one that I have to get out. I have to get.
I
was trying to get it 2 weeks in a row.
Let's do who's balling real fast. Every week we want to shout out a team, a player, somebody's just playing absolutely great ball. K-Walk, who you got this week? Who's balling?
I got my San Francisco 49ers defense, man. Last 4 weeks, they've shut out the opposition in the second half. Last seven quarters, they have not given up a touchdown. I mentioned the Kamara fumbles. So they've been playing outstanding, man. Number one in every defensive category right now. So my 49ers defense are balling.
Yeah, man, no doubt. They're going to be scary, man. I think they're getting better every single week. They're going to be scary for sure. I'm going to go next because I think Britt and I might have the same one. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but Jalen Hurts, ladies and gentlemen, he is absolutely balling. I was super impressed with the way he played against the Packers the other night. He threw the ball well, but man, the way that he ran the ball, I was just impressed. And he doesn't take the big hit. He's smart when he runs. He gets out of bounds. He protects himself. Jalen Hurts, man, he's been absolutely balling. Britt would say
there's
you.
something about that, Jay. There's something about you in Philly today, man. I just feel like there's something there that you're not. Look, he's keeping that straight face like he's serious, but I think there's something more to it. But go ahead, Britt. I'm sorry.
Come back home. Is that what it is?
No, Britt, I'm just giving respect where respect is due. Okay. That's it.
He's trying to jinx a Britt.
That's what I feel like. I feel like something is up with this. There's something underlying on here.
Yes, I'm telling you.
What's the subliminal message surrounding with this? No, except for that one hit he took where he got his mouthpiece popped out.
Yeah.
So he learned real quick though. Yeah. He's like, yeah, no need to take no more of those hits. No, but for me, I'm gonna have to do an honorable mention. So I gotta do two guys. I'm sorry, but the first one, I know you said Jalen Hurts, but I gotta go with the Eagles' offensive line.
Yeah,
pure dominance, and they have showed that with the rushing game every single week this year. They led the way for the Eagles to get 363 rushing yards, guys. You're talking about almost 400 rushing yards.
Yeah.
That's crazy to win over the Packers. So the Eagles offensive line, along with their Christmas album, go check it out. They actually can sing, which is cool. It was balling. And then my honorable mention, I got to give a shout out to the former head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, Doug Peterson and Jacksonville Jaguars. They came back and won, and he did that 2-point conversion. I can't remember the team. Was it the Raiders? I can't remember who they were playing.
Ravens.
No, the Ravens. Yeah, the Ravens came back and won that game. So both these teams were balling.
Yeah, good call there. Absolutely. All right, K-Walk, before we get out of here, man, let the people know where they can find you on social media. And then this week, man, big sports week. What are you looking forward to?
Yes, on social media, guys, Instagram, Kevin.Walker142, Twitter, Kevin Walker 142, and Facebook, Kevin Walker. Just looking forward to everything that we spoke about as far as the Thursday night game between the Bills and the Patriots. Also looking forward to championship week this as well. Can't wait to see how we mentioned K-State, TCU plays out, Utah, and USC, a couple of other games as well. Also, my Miami Heat and my Tar Heels lost 2 in a row. They're down college basketball. They got a tough one tomorrow night against number 10 Indiana. So looking forward to see if they can bounce back.
Yeah, good stuff, K-Walk. I'm right there with you, man. Can't wait for championship week this weekend. You guys can find me on social media at Jason Talks Sports. That's Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Britt, how about you?
For me, I'm looking forward to, of course, Sixers is playing. Hopefully Harden and Maxey was still a couple weeks out, but Harden will come back soon and we could play how we were playing with Joel and Harden in the lineup. But this weekend, Eagles football, of course. I really want to see how, if Jordan Davis comes back, how they play against Derrick Henry in this run defense. It's going to be very, very important, because after that, you got a lot of tough running backs to go up against. So hopefully we get that corrected in special teams. But you guys can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. I'm starting to question Twitter a little bit, but we'll see.
I'm a little hesitant about giving that out.
Yeah. I might have to get that one up, but we'll see. At Britne Monique, Facebook, Britne Jones.
All right, good stuff, guys. That was fun tonight. A lot of good topics. Thank you everyone for listening. Do us a favor, guys. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Sideline Speaks. If you come across this video, hit that like button, share it. We're trying to get this YouTube thing up and running, so any support that you can give us is greatly appreciated. For Britne Jones and Kevin Walker, I'm Jason Collins, and we'll see you back here next week at 7 p.m. Thanks for listening.
You're inside Never Had It So Good Sports Radio with Princess Cooper, Tim Moore, David the Duck Riley, Jason Collins, Shoshana Cook, Britne Jones, Travis McGee, Eric Scott, and Kevin Walker. We make it easy to talk sports.